Hello, and today we're going to start with lesson one. This is an introduction to the Mayans and the Aztecs. Lesson one will primarily focus on their accomplishments in astronomy, mathematics, and architectural engineering. So, the Mayans. The Mayans were very advanced in astronomy. Astronomy is the study of the stars, and as you can see in the pictures, especially this picture right here, this is an example of an observatory that the Mayans had. Um, it's pretty much like where we have our telescopes nowadays, but the Mayans had their own buildings that were primarily built just to look at the stars. They would also use the stars to make calendars, and they can predict things like solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. The Mayans were also very advanced in mathematics. They had their own number system, which again, looking at the picture, they had their own number system. They had a use for the number zero. They were into geometry, algebra, and again, celestial cycles. In other words, they use mathematics to look at the stars and predict where certain stars and planets were going to be. And of course, they also use mathematics to build impressive structures, right? All their buildings and temples, like these. So the Mayans were also great builders. And again, they built pyramids, they built temples, and they also built big cities, right? Urban planning is like building a big city. Um, they had a bunch of different techniques, also using arches. And if you know anything about architecture, arches, right? Arches, right, like this. Arches are special because they hold more weight and you're able to build more on top, right? So if you can see, these aren't necessarily arches, but still, right? You can build up high. Also, again, related to the stars, they build their cities, they build their temples based on stars and where the sun and I was going to say Luna and the moon align. So, depending on what time of the day, for example, for this temple, the sun would hit and cast a certain shadow and predict if it was springtime, if it was summertime, etc. Now the Aztecs. So, like the Mayans, the Aztecs were also great astronomers. They used the stars for religious purposes and also for their farming, agricultural purposes. They had a solar calendar that also had 365 days, just like our calendar has 365 days. And they had a lot of ceremonies and rituals based on the calendar, just like we do. The Aztecs were also advanced in math, and like the Mayans, they used it for different purposes. But in this example, I want to highlight how they used it for tax purposes. The Aztecs would collect taxes from other neighboring tribes. And again, if they didn't have math, they couldn't keep track of all the taxes collected from the other tribes. And finally, the Aztecs were great builders. These are just some examples of their masterpiece, right? Their capital, Tenochtitlan. And here, this is a picture or a diagram, right, of El Templo Mayor. Here is another um, picture of it, of the same. And then if you can see way back here, it's the same Templo Mayor. The Templo Mayor was in the middle of Tenochtitlan and very, very impressive, right? Just like the Mayans, they also based a lot of their temples and designs on the stars and celestial bodies. Finally, they were great builders because if you can see, their capital was made on top of a lake. So they had to build bridges, they had to build water to bring in fresh water into their city. They had to do different types of transportation to move in and out. And again, as a result, they were great builders and they were very advanced and smart in building this beautiful city. That is it. Make sure to take the quiz, make sure to do the assignment after this, and I'll see you in class.